So Unity just died?
Well, sorta. Unity has been on a downward slide in the past few years. And with Unreal getting better and better, how does Unity respond? With the worst business decision I have ever heard of. Today, we'll go through why Unity is dying, starting with the most recent nail in the coffin, to the state of the engine. Our story begins with this guy. Unity's current CEO, John Riccitiello. Riccitiello? Maybe you have heard of him. He was the CEO of EA Games before he was fired for, and I can't believe I'm saying this, for being too greedy. Yes, the current CEO of Unity was fired from EA for being too greedy. Explains why Unity hasn't been improving much in the past few years, doesn't it? His latest brilliant idea is a new pricing model. This one, to be specific.
So a lot of things changed while editing this video. I'm currently walking my dog, if you can see him. So that's why I'm outside. I'm not sure if it focused there. The thing is, a lot of things changed. So first of all, the CEO was fired due to insane amounts of backlash. I'm not English if that's not obvious. He was fired from here too for being too greedy, which is sort of hilarious. Like, two major companies have fired him as a CEO for being too greedy. I mean, what's gonna be the third one? Hopefully not Rockstar, because I've been waiting for GTA 6, and if he gets there somehow, then it would probably be a partial thing. Like, you would have to buy every ammunition separately with your money in the game, because that was actually one of his ideas way back then when he was working as the CEO in EA. One of his big ideas was to fucking charge $1 per reload during a match, because people would do it to not lose. At least that was his big, huge idea. Either way, I don't want to waste a lot of your time. The thing is, he wasn't just fired, but this whole new payment system got changed. Didn't change too much, so it's basically the same idea of paying per unit to Unity if it reaches a certain threshold, but it got a lot better, so much better. So what I'm going to do is I will replace the picture I've used, and I will add just text explaining the whole thing while finishing the edit, but I will keep the part where I explain this whole controversy and why it was bad. I will just correct myself underneath it in text. So if you are still confused after that, just write a comment under the video. I will answer everything. But that's all I wanted to say.
Basically, if your game made in Unity makes more than 200,000 in the past year, or one of your games have more than 200k downloads, Unity will start taking money from you per game installed. It's just a few cents, but it still is crazy. Especially that this is on top of the fee for Unity Pro, and even worse, this applies to free games, not just paid ones. Let's say you make a demo and it gets really popular. That would be the best thing ever normally. But with this new pricing model, this could put you into huge debt before the full game is finished. So you can see why this could be a huge issue for game creators everywhere. Now onto the software issues. Unity hasn't been improving much the last few years. What is the latest memorable update you have seen Unity do? Yeah, it's the universal render pipeline, which isn't bad, it's decent, right? But it's been so long and not many new things have come to Unity since that. Sure, it's a great feature, giving the users ability to change how the game renders, but during this time Unreal 5 came out, giving the users nanite, better ray tracing, and just an overall better package for a game engine. Unity is still horrible at handling 3D objects. And it's not even mentioning the absolute RAM hogging that Unity does. I swear to God, making mobile games with even remotely good texture quality just won't be possible, because Unity just cannot handle that shit. It will take so much RAM that no phone will ever have that much to allocate for one application. What I mean by that, sure, there are some Samsung phones I think that have 16 gigs of RAM. I personally use an iPhone and that has even less, but the thing is, phones cannot allocate as much memory to one application as they have, unlike PCs can, where you can customize how much RAM you can give to a single running application, because phones don't work that way. They have to stay fast in case of emergencies, and so the operation system cannot lag out because it's still a phone, you know, it cannot allow itself to die from RAM shortages. So usually a phone is locked to giving a maximum maximum of 4 GB of RAM to one single running thing. It's even less with iPhones. I think the max you can give to one application on an iPhone is 3 GB of RAM. And how much Unity wants? Well, usually a lot more if you even try to use a 4K texture. And then the lighting of Unity just isn't as good as Unreal's. Sure, if you spend months on perfecting it, you could make it look as good as Unreal by default, which isn't that good, to be fair. And I truly believe that the only saving grace for Unity currently is C#, because it is truly a much easier coding language than C++, because it's a lower level, higher level. I'm not a programmer, but I know there are levels and I kinda know how to use C#, and I can't even wrap my head around C++. That said, visual scripting is getting better and better, and Andre's blueprints might allow me to not even have to learn C++. And a word from today's sponsor, me. By the way, if you could not care less, just skip to this part, it's fine. So if you've been here before, then you know that this channel was used to be called YAKKE and not YAKKE Too Lazy. Why is that? Well, I will make a new channel that will be called YAKKE, where I will upload my huge projects, where I actually make games and document the process and everything. Then this channel will remain for like side projects and just talking about game development and parts of game development that I think are exciting and interesting, and the YAKKE channel will actually be a higher production one. So I decided that here I will try to make a video a week, just very low effort, me talking with some b-roll, just some editing, and actually be focused on what the video is trying to say. And well, in the other channel, the new channel, the bigger channel, hopefully one day, will be the channel where I actually put all my effort into. So expect the first video to come in a few months, because it's going to take quite a bit of time. But I already have some insane ideas there. For example, making a sports game that is completely physics-based. Or I don't know, remaking Valorant with just a little bit more fucked up. You'll see when the videos are ready. But for now, stay tuned here and stay tuned there, and I hope I can upload my first video soon. That's all I wanted to say back to Unity dying, because it's a miserable piece of shit platform and I fucking hate that I wasted 4 years there. The stigma around Unity. It's fair to say Unity doesn't have the best reputation. Not amongst gamers and not amongst developers either. In both cases, we expect the game to be visually mediocre, with poor performance and a lot of crashes. And this is kind of true as well. It's hard to make a Unity game look good. It's definitely harder than in Unreal. And saying Unity is unstable is like saying the sky is blue. If you have ever imported a Unity project from one version to another, you know this well. Everything just crashes. The reason for this is mostly the fact that the engine itself is not optimized. I read a comment a few years ago that Unity just can't find all the issues in the engine due to lack of user base. But be honest, Unity, you just cannot be bothered. The amount of crash reports and bug reports I sent in without it ever getting fixed is crazy. For example, even after 4 years of updates, you still can't use Unity if you have a VPN enabled. It just crashes at launch, which is funny, because you can just use Unity when you're offline. But no, if you just try and touch a VPN, you're fucked. I think this is because you cannot use Unity on the same project with different devices, because Unity doesn't want you to do that without buying Unity Pro. So I'm guessing this is why you can't use a VPN, but it really should be fixed, because, you know, if you care even a little bit about your safety, then you should use a VPN. This sounds like I'm trying to initiate a VPN sponsorship, which I would do, sponsors, but I'm way too small of a channel for that, so let's just move on. In conclusion, Unity is fucked, and it really needs to get its shit together if it ever wants to become the main choice for beginner game developers ever again. Currently, I'm convinced that the Est store and the huge amount of tutorials are the only thing that still keeps this engine alive, as it is a huge time saver for solo game developers that are just starting out. That said, Unreal is getting more and more tutorials. Its marketplace is getting bigger and bigger, and its ease of use for the engine is also better than Unity when you just start out. So I truly believe that the new generation of beginner game developers and hobbyists, like myself, will start with Unreal and not Unity. Sure, I started with Unity 4 years ago, but I was a freshman at high school then, so, you know, it's not that big of a waste of time for me, at least. I am okay cutting my losses here and just switching to Unreal. And sure, I have to relearn a lot of things I have already learned, but this is the same thing with any instrument. If you have learned playing the guitar, It will be a lot easier learning to play the piano, or vice versa. It's going to be the same, so I don't think I've wasted 4 years, but I kinda actually did, because I will not touch Unity ever again. It's kind of that for me. And